Nicolas Cary is a serial entrepreneur and lifelong technologist. He is founder and CEO of Blockchain.com, the world's leading digital assets platform with 70 million in VC investments from leading VCs. Elizabeth Rossiello is co-chairperson at the World Economic Forum Global Fourth Industrial Revolution Council on Blockchain. Nicolas and Elizabeth, the future of blockchain is yours.
So thank you for coming to London headquarters here, and I can't wait to catch up anyway. Yeah. It's been far too long.
Thanks, Nick.
Let's go back now to sort of the start, maybe put us in your feet at 2013. You learned about this thing called Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. People are probably telling you it's career suicide. It's an idea that's never going to work. What is your headspace, and how are you thinking about starting a company? Walk me through the process.
So, unlike a lot of the listeners here, maybe I was outside of this bubble. I was living in Nairobi, Kenya. I had been living in Kenya for 5 years, and this is the time mobile money was really taking off in Kenya.
Yep.
So M-Pesa was there. M-Pesa just means money in Swahili. So I'd been working a lot with finance institutions and little banks that were using mobile money to really lower their operating costs. So when I heard about Bitcoin, it was just like, oh, this is M-Pesa for the rest of the world. So when I started BitPesa back then, it seemed obvious.
That's so cool. And I always love that story where Africans in Kenya were using mobile money way before people in New York or London or Hong Kong were. So.
But what got you involved in cryptocurrency?
Yeah, so I had grown up internationally, and I think my interest in economics, politics, and being a lifelong nerd, having always worked in technology, when I discovered cryptocurrency, it sort of was the collection of all those things in one place.
Yeah.
And most of us will spend our entire lives in pursuit of money so that we can invest in our experiences, maybe raise a family, and help out our communities. But I don't think most people spend a lot of time thinking about why their money has value. And when I discovered that it was possible for a computer system to create scarcity through its design and then essentially create a resilient transactional capability globally, I was like, this is inevitable. We need to be able to send money over the internet and precious information as reliably as sending emails.
But isn't that about just this ownership and having a wallet, having an account, which you guys were the first, and that was 7 years, 10 years before anybody else had that idea?
To be honest, we're still having the same conversation with people today as we were a few years ago, but that's okay. I think financial services and financial literacy are a really intimidating topic for most people.
Yeah.
And so we will continue to sort of upskill and educate people about why having control over your own money is important. So let's get back to your company real quick. So what are your ambitions for AZA, which is the parent company for BitPesa and the other products you offer?
Sure. So when we started building, we were highly connected to this one company brand of M-Pesa, which is owned by Vodacom, right? So when they went offline, we went offline. And then we decided, well, what happens if we connect to another last mile in Uganda? And then another one in Tanzania, and then another in Nigeria, Morocco, UK, Europe, China. And suddenly we grew roots and were able to do on and off ramps into all these currencies. And then when we suddenly realized, which was, I guess, this kind of self-sustaining thing that cryptocurrency and entrepreneurship bring, which is, well, we can own this ourselves now. We don't have to rely on anybody else. And now, we're one of the largest players in the market, and we're trading currencies, crypto and fiat, and what we're able to do is when the market goes offline, when the telco goes offline, when the government says, wait, no more dollars allowed. Yeah. All these SMEs, all these businesses are like, I can't pay my supplier. I can't pay for pharmaceuticals. Right. I can't pay my marketing company. And we're just helping these businesses, our B2B clients, buy and sell and make payments around the world. And we're really doing it. A lot of crypto land is like, I have a theory that my product will go live, but if you look at our chart,
those are real world use cases.
Yeah, it's
so
been
much
growing.
To be proud of. That is awesome. So you're a mom, you're a wife, you've got lots of kids now, and congrats on your new one. Founder and CEO, and you do stuff at Davos. For young women out there that might be looking up to a role model like you, what are some tips or advice you might give to people that are thinking about, well, should I do my own thing, or should I do what my parents expect, or how do I make these decisions or think about
I get a lot
this?
of questions like this. People follow me into the bathroom at conferences. They're like, Elizabeth. And it really is, I don't want to be like this role model or spokesperson, but it's scary. Every time I go a little bit further, there's less and less women.
Yeah.
And I find, wow, I got into this cool program and I'm sitting in a room with 50 candidates and I'm the only woman, and I'm like, what year is it? And the other thing I think is, like, being the head of a family, or being a parent, a dad or a mom, you're a multitasker. And I think what we've seen, we have 150 employees now, and over time we've had over 200 employees. The people that can kind of hack it and do well, especially in a high-risk environment where we work, you can't get overwhelmed by all the things you have to do. You can't be thinking about dinner or a school report or your shareholders or the Nigerian currency dropping by half overnight. You have to think, I'm at an interview right now, and later I'm at a marketing call, and after I'm gonna call my shareholder, and one by one you just take off your challenges. So what I think the best thing that I learned being a parent and being a CEO is one thing at a time, just one foot in front of the other, one brick after the other, and just, you'll get to it.
Yeah, so it's like resilience, patience, and then efficacy. Interesting. Okay, so one of the last things I wanted to cover a little bit with you, this year has been a really challenging one for all businesses. How are you encouraging your team to stay motivated? How have you guys adapted the way you work? And what do you think is going to be a permanent change? And what are the things you think will maybe go back to normal from a work perspective?
I think for me this year, I've really taken my values and felt more and more comfortable putting them into action. And we just have to open our mind. So I really have felt confident and vocal this year, encouraging my team to do that. And I think what that ends up happening is then the team feels bought in, and they feel strong, and they feel connected. And really, when you're working from home, that's what you need. When you're not seeing everybody every day, and you have employees in 6 different countries, 6 different cultures, religions, races, tribes. Oh my gosh, the difference between our Kenyan and Nigerian team, or even our Senegalese Christian and Senegalese Muslim team. And that's exciting because it means we're all working as one. And the more of a focused culture you get, I think the stronger it is. When you're like, yeah, we kind of believe that a little bit, watered down.
Yep.
But when you really go full heart on, and I say, let's get radical a lot, like, don't be afraid to get radical.
Yeah, it's been a crazy one here at blockchain.com. I mean, this year we started off, we had 5 offices. We've reduced that commercial footprint, and we've had to make changes across the teams.
Yeah.
But one of the things I think software companies all had a little bit of an advantage in was already working, especially across time zones.
Especially the engineers.
A lot of the tools so that we could collaborate anyway. But it didn't change the anxiety, I think, that people are experiencing in the world from the news cycle, from their social media channels, from their family members. And so we've been trying to maintain as much as we can, sort of a positive and I'd say spirit around the work we're doing, and reminding everyone that the world is in a scary place right now, but it will get better again. And one of the things we're really leaning into is the mission and the values. And I think when things when there's a lot of adversity in the world, going back to those fundamentals really does provide sort of a North Star to things.
And do you think fintechs are responsible for having kind of moral compass more than traditional financial institutions?
I totally think we do. And one of the reasons for that is, especially here at blockchain.com, when we hire, we're looking for people that understand that we are trying to build an alternative financial system and shape a new outcome, one that we are not inheriting from some 50-year-old legacy status quo, but one that we're helping shape and create a better world from. But ultimately, that to me is like systemic change. They're going to go take risks. They're going to take the things they learned and hopefully go build something interesting and that's useful.
And they're not going back to HSBC.
That's right. So anyway, I think we've got probably time for maybe 1 or 2 more things here. And if every crisis is an opportunity, where do you see the silver lining this year for cryptocurrency, digital assets, and maybe just fintech in general?
Well, I think fear is gone, right? But I mean, when you get rid of fear, kind of like I was saying before, when you start a company outside, when you make that choice, you can then move faster. So a lot of clients and a lot of customers were afraid to work with a fintech, afraid to have crypto exposure. And kind of every year it's changed. We're afraid, we're hyped. We're afraid, we're hyped, And I think what this has done is said, companies that work from home, companies that are distributed, companies that are run by people under 50, it's okay. It doesn't matter as long as it works. Huge. How about for you guys?
Yeah, it's so funny you say that. We have this saying here, we're calling it short molecules, long electrons, meaning the sort of physical infrastructure of the world is being transitioned into a digital medium. And so we think that the inevitability of a money over the internet seems more true today than at any point in time. there's a real tectonic shift that's occurring, and not everyone is quite aware of it yet, but we're sort of feeling it. That, the policy response by the central banks and the Federal Reserve globally has been to massively inflate the amount of money created to pay for these huge programs, to and basically kick the can down the road. And the debt levels are unbelievable today. They're higher than they were at the end of World War II, and we haven't fought a war. And so every time they create more money, the value of people's savings deteriorates. And so I think cryptocurrency and digital assets and fintech companies sit at a real nexus of being the solution for people that understand this problem.
Do you feel your clients maturing with you? So many of those with now money to invest are people who are able to be computer savvy, to work online, the younger and younger workforce, and they've grown up with TikTok, they've grown up with wallets that you guys invented. I mean, they've grown up with this idea that your money is 2 taps away. And when we first started offering $1 million foreign exchange trades, we did this research and it said anybody doing over $100,000 or even $50,000 is scared to use a phone, they want to use a laptop. The treasurer feels more comfortable with a laptop. 3 years later, the research showed 70% change. Yeah. The same people who said, I trust a laptop more than a phone, now said they trust the phone. And that was just in like middle-aged treasurers. Think about all the people that are, coming up right now. And I think, that's who you've been building for all along. And it's been exciting to see that, we don't really need everybody to agree with us.
Yep, and I think the view we've always had was it was going to be a long journey. Yeah. And, both my partner and I are really into long distance running, and it's one of the things we practice because we think it creates that resiliency so that you can manage the day-to-day chaos of whatever it is that day.
Yeah.
Volatility in the market, personal life, issues, a flood in the office, whatever it is. And I think, like you mentioned, having that patience and leaning into your values is really ultimately what creates an enduring institution. So, Elizabeth, thank you so much for coming to London today and having us here. We hope that everyone at South Summit has a very healthy and socially distanced, successful event. Thank you.
Great.
Mind-blowing stuff, and a reminder that it's a time to make friends with blockchain if you haven't already.